Hanson-Popp, and I am thrilled today that the CEO of my new publishing company, Morgan James Publishing, has agreed to talk with me today and interview me today about my book, Becoming an Orphan, A Caregiver's Guide to Lovingly Letting Our Parents Go. And so, yeah, I just appreciate your time, David, and being here, and I get to experience new technology. Every new thing I do, like, oh, what's this? And it works. It's working.
That's right. Well, thank you. Now get the opportunity. It's like a privilege for me. So this is really, really good. So I'm glad to be able to do this with you. You know, we only publish about 3 books a week. So having the bandwidth, and we've got such an amazing team that gives me time to do some of the fun stuff. But, you know, obviously we accepted the book on purpose. We absolutely fell in love with you. And I don't say this publicly, but 80% of our decision is you. You know, who are you? What are you doing? And why? That why is really important to us. And then the icing on the cake for us is, how is the book connected? And you've got such a great connection with what you're doing with the big picture of the book. And it's just such a blessing to be a part of it. So yeah, this is fun. I get to do this. So I've got a bunch of questions. I want to talk about anything you want to talk about, but I just kind of love for our audience, your audience, to kind of peek behind the curtain, you know, of the creation of the book and the process and so forth. So I'm gonna pepper you with a bunch of questions, and you can answer them or plead the fifth, whatever's easier for you. But, you know, for us, you know, as from the entrepreneurial journey of writing a book, there's always a beginning. So I'd love to hear in your voice, you know, how did it become? How did Becoming an Orphan become to be a book that you thought that needed to be out there?
Great. Yeah. So yes, every book does have a beginning. And so I had to go back a little bit, not too far. But my first book that I wrote is called Cellophane Farm, Life in the Slow Lane. And this essentially is my mother's memoirs. There's a picture of her and I in the back.
Beautiful.
And the story of our farm and my family and her life, focusing on her. And she had a dream. The last maybe 10 years of her life, she kept saying, you know, people keep telling me when I tell them about my life, they're like, you should write a book. And so it planted this seed in her head. I want to tell my story. And so since I inherited the lion's share of organizational skills, I thought, you know, I'd like to make Mom's dream come true, because she's going to need help to do this. She passed away at 87 years old. So there's a lot of life. Yeah. So anyway, we started the book together, and I met a few times with her. I did a short Google search. I'd never written a book. No one in my family had ever written a book. And I thought, well, that's kind of my heritage of, so just jump in and do it.
Congratulations.
And, you just do it. So anyway, she passed away, unfortunately, before I was able to finish the book. And so that's a whole nother story. But the connection between the books is that when I did my release party of this, and I had to have 2, one in my hometown where, you know, Mom and Dad had lived their whole lives, and then one here where I live. And so, but as I shared that, and people realized, whether they knew my mom or not, that I was part of walking with her through the end of her life.
Yeah. And
it wasn't really a lot of work, but it changed my life. There was a definitely level of caregiving. And anyway, people's they would start cascading, like in the first 5 seconds of our conversation, about their parent has died, or their parent was, you know, their family was in some trauma about Mom fell and broke her hip. The whole family's in an uproar. What do we do? How do we take care of Dad? I didn't say anything. I just showed up and shared about Mom's book. And it was this nonstop, friends, family, even people I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started then. It was like, I think there's something here, because most people were overwhelmed, didn't know where to go. to get help. And there was always conflict, whether it was their internal emotions or it was with family members. Well, my brother wants to do this and I think this, and oh boy. So the first online sale I made of that book, I went to we live in a town of about, we're probably about 10,000 people now. So I go to the post office. You get to know all the clerks in the stores, right? Because it's small enough.
I bet.
And the gal at the counter, her name is Lynn. And I could hardly contain myself selling my first book, right? And mailing it. It was pretty exciting.
Big deal.
So she said, so I had to tell her. And her immediate question to me was, not anything you would expect. Her immediate response was, are you going to write another book?
Oh my gosh.
Well, do you have any? It took me 10 years. But it was funny
right.
I was like, okay, God, I'm listening. Because, and I said to her on the spot, funny you should ask that. Yes, I am. It will be called Becoming an Orphan, about caring for aging parents.
Wow.
And God was like, okay,
here it
go.
is.
So that's how it came to be.
Well, she was very, very smart in saying that, because there's a secret trend in the publishing industry is that 20% of your audience is going to want more. Not like an average, but like 20% of your readers are going to like, give me something else. I want more of you, want more of your heart, of your stories, your teaching or encouragement. So she planted that good seed. And I love how you just blurted it out.
I did. I'm like, okay, that settles it.
So go a little deeper. So give me a little bit about the process that you went from that idea, maybe on the spot, to the finished product. Because I know it is absolutely a process, but I'd love to hear your process.
Thanks. Yeah, and it was. So I started thinking about, obviously, my own experiences. And like I said, Mom was pretty much independent, except she couldn't drive at the end. And she, could manage her life and had all her wits about her till the very end. And my father died of a massive heart attack when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
And and so I got to thinking about the experience, the two sets of experiences that I'd had in our family, and how both circumstances or situations start shaping you. But then I thought, as I was talking with clients and friends and neighbors, similar to my age and stage in life, experiencing these traumas with their parents, or the parents getting sick or whatever. And I thought, I don't have enough. I think there was a lot of things I did right with my mom that were just dumb luck, that I could have that I was able to avoid regrets. This concept of regrets comes up a lot. So anyway, I was thinking through my network of acquaintances and friends, and I made a list of the people who have been through this, or were in the middle of it, or had already lost their parents, and what was that like. So I already knew little bits of most people's story. I had one person that I didn't know at all. It was a friend of a friend, and that was interesting. So so what I did is I came up with a set of questions to just get them talking. And I had about 24 people that I interviewed, and I did not, except for Mary, they didn't see those questions ahead of time, because I just wanted spontaneous.
Yeah.
And if you read about Mary, you'll know. Yeah. So I let Mary have the questions ahead of time. But, most of them were live interviews, and I recorded them. I had a couple that were online, because we were at the end of, one was out of state and whatever. And we were still at the kind of the tail end of COVID concerns. In fact, Mary, I met with her outside with masks in her garage.
Wow.
Because she has a compromised immune system and whatnot. So At any rate, so I did the interviews. They were about an hour long, except for my friend who's an attorney. That was 2 hours long. And what I realized after the very first one is I need to have a box of Kleenex.
Oh
right
my
here.
God. Yeah.
Every single person, and wide variety of personalities, obviously, there was a moment of tears. Whether they'd lost their parents 30 years earlier, like Mary, or 3 months earlier, there was always a moment of tears.
Yeah.
So had the box of Kleenex, did the first interview, and realized, okay, it's kind of a heavy topic.
Yeah.
And so, and people crying and whatever. And so I added a question at the end, and it was, tell me about a happy time that your family had together, whether it was just your folks or your family. And that was a really much better way to end each interview.
Yes, that was brilliant. I'm sure.
So then I used otter.ai for the first time to translate the recordings, to put it into text, even though I'm a pretty good secretary from way back. I hadn't done dictation for a really long time. And
assuming
it
too.
was helpful. It was helpful, but boy, I sure was glad I had been live in the interviews, because sometimes Otter would say, really, I'm like, that is not what they said. It was so I type it all up. Then the narrowing it down was the hard part. And I think part of it, because I wanted them just to speak openly, kind of flow of consciousness, answering these questions, which is great, but it kind of trails on, and so then it was, okay, how do I make this concise? How do I trim it? What's duplicated? And I think it was harder to do with people because I knew them personally.
Oh, harder to cut their story if you know them personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be a lousy editor. Just so, yeah, right. So did that, and then I realized, and I talked with a couple of different people and got their opinions who read a lot. And my first thought was to put each person as a chapter and their story. That was not the route. What I had to do is the next layer of, okay, thematically, stuff about Alzheimer's and different people's stories, end of life documentation, legal paper, things that you should have in place. And so that was so much better. It was it was a big step, but it was so much better. Yeah.
Well, the
so
final
that was
amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it, but yeah, you did really good, kind of taking that extra step.
Thank you. And and then I was thinking, if I was reading the book as we got to the final stages, because, let's say Mary, well, no, Mary's a bad example. Let's say Mike's story shows up in, bits of it, 3-4 different chapters, topically. If I was reading it and I saw Mike's name for the third time, by that point, I'd be like, wait, wasn't this the guy that blah, blah, blah? So what I did, and I couldn't help but go back in my head to Wuthering Heights. Did you ever read Wuthering Heights?
Oh my gosh. I would say yes, a long time ago.
All the characters have the same names. And in the front of a good edition, they do a family tree. Because you can't keep track of the characters.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that classic and having to go back to the family tree.
John. Yeah,
John Jr., John Jr., the second, whatever, So I did a little 2-sentence intro for each of my fellow orphans in the book, in the front.
Very helpful.
I was hoping it would be. So, yeah, so I think that's
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I know every single one of us is going to be in this situation sooner, and as I get older, sooner than later. So this is very, very good. Thank you for sharing. So quick question. I know during the whole process, I'm sure there have been some sweet spots in the writing process. Any anything you want to share that you may have found rewarding during the process? 'Cause it can be an emotional roller coaster. It can be very healing. It can be very inspirational. And even for some authors like myself, I dive into a topic and become an authority in it. And for me, this, that intense learning for me to even share more about it with others is definitely a fun part for me. But how about you? Did you find anything really rewarding in the process?
Yes, absolutely. The one thing was just how open and vulnerable. Once my fellow orphans agreed to do the process, they were all in. I mean, and they didn't hold back. And the last step in that process is once I got their stories tidied up and summed up, I let them read their own story. Are you good with this?
Yeah.
Or did I miss something? Did I make a mistake? But the fact that we had the same heart, because they were so willing to share, because they knew how hard the process was, and they wanted to help other people. One of the questions I asked in the interview was, if you could tell anyone, what would be your one piece of advice? And usually people were answering the question before I could get it out of my mouth. They're like, don't do this, or be sure you do that, because they wanted to help people in the same circumstance. And then I think it's kind of funny, but at the last stage of editing, so my good friend is an editor, and it looked like we were coming down to the end, and she had there were more grammatical type questions. And she said, I'm not the best at this. But she said, you live with someone who's an editor. I'm like, yeah, my husband. So my husband was reading it, sitting here on my computer reading it. And he just kept saying to me, now this is not to paint him in a poor light. He's really good at what he does. He's really good at detail. And if you miss the detail, you will hear about it, whatever that process is. He's like, you wrote this. This is really good. Thank you. I think.
Well, what'd you expect?
So that was just kind of a fun, like, okay. Yeah. So he's behind it as well. So yeah.
Any challenges that you may have stumbled across during the writing process? I mean, besides staring at the screen sometimes, any other challenges?
Right. Yeah. Well, the logistics, and you maybe find this, well, I don't know, other authors probably find this too. When you're busy running another branch of your company and you have another career already that you're busy doing and making a living.
Yeah.
This is always if you have a 20-minute blank spot, that is not going to help you write anything. You need blocks. I need, anyway, blocks of time. And so it was almost always Sunday afternoons, which we clear Sundays. We're usually home so that I could have a block of time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
important.
I know. It's challenges. So the heart challenge, as I try to share about the book, is that at first glance, this is a very depressing topic. It can be. It's a downer.
Right.
Our parents are aging. They're not what they used to be, and eventually they're going to die, and then we don't have them. And so my team has really helped me go back to what you started with, is where's this come from? What's your heart? Why did you bother to write the book?
Yeah.
And it's because I wanted to help people, encourage people, give them hope when they feel overwhelmed, give them practical advice and emotional hopefulness and encouragement. It doesn't have to just be bad.
Right.
You can flip it to even a thriving moment. It takes a lot of steps of acceptance and flexibility and all sorts of other things. But so that's the from the inside challenge. And like I said, my team helps me not stay stuck there. And as a kind of an outward expression of that heaviness, going back to that last question I added in the interview with tell me about a happy time.
Turned it all around.
I asked them if they would share pictures, photographs of what they think of as a happy time with their family. And so I don't know if you can even see it.
Oh yeah.
And so it happens to be me with my grandpa.
I love it.
So what I did is I took the photographs, and my husband did the watercolor application to them, and it's between every chapter, and they're not necessarily related to the people in the chapter, but they're happy, whether it's one of them is the 5 siblings of one of my interviewee. They're all in their pajamas on Christmas Eve, on the stairway. They're just happy moments.
I called them happy pauses when we were talking about it with our team. So just a moment to breathe.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things I was going to share on that process, or the challenge, is you're right. You do have to carve out some time. For me as an author in the early days, it was a stress reliever because I was a banker when I first started writing my books. Banking can be pretty stressful. So the time that I carved out, and I would do it in the evenings, and not too long in blocks, but very intentional, sitting on the couch with my bride, and I would just tackle the things that I feel that happened today that was kind of fitting into my outline. But for me, it was definitely a very good stress reliever just to get it out and help others. Because my book was trying to help other bankers be better bankers. And it was a process. Now today, I just finished my 23rd book and just started the outline for the 24th.
Wow.
I have to be more intentional than that. I have to, if I go on a business trip, I'll go a day early and leave a day late. So I'm by myself, locked in a hotel room with nothing more to do than something I really enjoy doing is writing. And I get a lot done without necessarily sacrificing family and fun time. Because if I'm home working and little Morgan or James, well, not little anymore, Morgan and James needs me, it's easy to go take care of them. But if I'm away in Arizona or something like that, I can knock it out.
Yes.
But, and then the second thing, the content, you've got to educate them, you've got to encourage them, and you do really well. Got to inspire them, and maybe even throw in a little bit of that entertainment. And I include the photos, part of that pause that kind of can entertain them for a moment. But it is a very intentional process. You did good. And one other challenge that if you haven't experienced yet, anybody who's an author that might be listening to this, I want you to know, Ingrid, this is going to happen to you as it happens to me, as it happens to every author. There will come a time that somebody maybe close to you or people that really love you have been following you down this journey. They may start to kind of poo-poo on your parade now that the book's done. And they're really trying to protect you. They may come to you and say, oh my gosh, Ingrid, this is amazing. The book is out. Can we please talk about something else? And they're doing that out of love because they want to protect you. Because most authors don't ever get to this point. Most authors don't get picked up by a publisher. Most authors don't ever make it into a bookstore. So there's a lot of that stumbling in the author space, and people realize that, and maybe even subconsciously, and they just want to protect you. But that's not you. You're amazing. You're following through. You've got great heart. You're committed to the process, and I think you're enjoying it. So I want you to expect it, and when it happens, embrace it. Love them deeper because they're really just trying to look out for you. But you just keep pressing on, because if you stop, then you will fall into that trap of being an author that doesn't make it because you listen to those naysayers. Again, they love you and they mean well. But it will happen. And if you can just get past that and keep the conversation going and keep your spirit up and keep to the message of why you're doing this, you will far exceed 98% of the authors out there in impact and authority and even opportunity for you as an author. So I encourage you.
Thank you.
But also caution is it will come if it hasn't happened already. It might have already. I doubt it'll be your husband. It could be your husband. If somebody close to you, some people close to you are going to try to protect you in that manner. Embrace it, love it, move on.
Yeah. And that's a great, I'm tucking that away just because it's a great way to have a different opinion, but knowing that the motive is usually because they care.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yep. So I have one cheerleader. She's in our ladies Bible study group every Monday morning, and she is on the prayer list and stuff for about the process of the book. I have that team behind me, and
Yeah.
she's like, she'll ask questions about it. She said, and she'll just shake her head and go, you are like the epitome of perseverance. And
Right.
and she doesn't add anything to it. I said, I usually respond, well, either persistent or crazy, one of the two, but I'm doing it.
With an author, it's a little bit of both. I confess.
Yeah.
So maybe one more question if we've got time. How does this book, now I kind of know the answer, but for the audience, how does this book really align with the other parts of your life? Work, personality, gifts, passions that the Lord's given you?
Right. So I'm a people person.
No, seriously.
And actually, that really comes from both my parents. Yeah, I grew up on a farm, and when people would stop by the farm, part of that visit, whatever it was for, always involved sitting at the coffee table, at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and chatting.
Nice.
My dad could chat with the best of them. And so, yeah, I can't escape it. So I'm a people person, but I think the gifting of encouragement runs pretty deep, pretty wide. And wonderful. That when I hear someone is discouraged, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So whether that's teaching piano lessons, somebody's frustrated, or they're a transfer, they come to me, or they're frustrated. I feel like my first job is to encourage them, because it's kind of just come to the surface for my own self, is because if I feel discouraged, I'm stuck. I can't, I'm just stuck. And so, so that thread of encouragement, like I said, whether it's encouraging a piano student, or maybe they've practiced, but they practice it wrong, and they feel like, oh, I wasted all that time. No. And then I reframe it, because I'm an expert in that area. I've got a lot of decades of, I have grand students now.
Oh my gosh. How is that possible?
I don't know. So, and even when it comes to, whether it's running a support group, which I have for people caring for aging parents, and that is usually just facilitating people in the group encouraging each other, and they can walk away with a solution, or they can walk away with less sorrow in their heart because of what someone else said, or and ultimately, even my performing, I'm a classical pianist, and so seeing people in the audience and hearing them come up to me at the intermission or afterwards, and how the music excited them and it made them whatever, right? Music touches our emotions, and so I think it's just encouraging people where they're at.
That's wonderful. Well, you do that very well. Okay, maybe one more selfish question, if I may. So, as I alluded earlier in this conversation, we're blessed to be the publisher of the book. We fell in love with you right away, and we do only a handful of books a year. So, I tell the audience, how did we connect? What made us become a place that you wanted to submit, and then that whole process? I mean, even from an encouraging perspective, if you've ever read Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark and Jack submitted to 144 publishers, and every one of them said no, and some of them said heck no. So it too is a process.
They are.
That's right.
Funny.
Tell us about your journey to finding a home. And again, like I said, we're absolutely honored to be in this place, but I'd love to hear that. From you.
So when I did the first book, I found a publisher, I'm forgetting the word, print on demand, that would do the print on demand and all that. And on that first book, Cellophane Farm, I was real specific about the size and the format of it, which might seem weird, but I just was. And so I don't know, it's like an 8x8, right? It's a square. And so I published with Outskirts Press. And then how did I think when I started writing Becoming an Orphan, I thought, okay, Outskirts Press isn't, all I know is that it's not the right fit for this book. And so I had my part-time assistant, Stuart, actually, after I had done some research about Author Academy Elite and Carrie Oberbrunner.
That's right.
I wanted another set of eyes on this, just because, like, I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what this. And so I had Stuart do some research on it, and, is this legit? What do you think? And so went with them. And then it was, let's see, this is July. Gosh, it must have been almost a year ago. Carrie came to me and some of his authors, and actually got to see him. I bumped into him at our church like a few months ago. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that person. Who's that person? And he was visiting his sister or whatever. But and he got us connected. And then I talked with Michael first, and then when I was reading about it, Morgan James being a hybrid between, and this is how I explain it to friends who aren't involved in any of this.
Yeah.
Of like, Random House. If Random House ever picked me up, which I wasn't even about to try, I don't retain rights to where I want to go with the book, what I want to do with the book, having books in my basement that I want to give away or I want to take to presentations, but I've also now gone down two paths of self-publishing, and the message isn't getting out. But Morgan James is this hybrid of helping authors and being a profitable publishing company and a big publishing company getting into the box stores. And I had experienced, in some ways it's either foolish or fearless. I just show up at I just show up at a bookstore and say, hey, I got this book. and chase down the managers or whoever the buyers are or whatever. And that was like hitting a steel door.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I read about Morgan James and being a hybrid publisher, I thought, okay, I think this is a good fit.
Yeah. Well, we're honored. And I'm so grateful that Carrie put us together. I love Carrie. I know he's got a tremendous vision for books and authors, but sometimes, every now and then a book arises that just needs broader distribution. And Carrie's always like, David, I've got an author you need to know. Yeah. Because we as a publisher, we don't believe in any competition. We think we have opportunities for collaboration. So we're constantly working in ways together to serve authors. I have a passion for helping authors find their right path. I think we've got an amazing path, but the stories of how we get connected to our authors are so broad. It's so much fun. So I say that to encourage maybe any of the fans of you that are watching or listening, is sometimes it's not, the first people you reach out to. Sometimes it takes a couple or 144, but patience and persistence and maybe being connected, because like Ingrid that might be able to point you in the right direction or encourage you, because it can be very discouraging. But I say that just to hear it, and honored to play in the space. So I'm so excited for you. So excited for the book.
Thank you.
And this is going to be a relevant topic for decades to come.
It sure will.
Like I said, we're all going to experience it at one point or another. So I think you did good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited, and I appreciate the support. The what do we call them? Marketing mastermind meets every week, and that wasn't on my radar for months at the beginning, and then I don't know something. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I should Join those.
That's a part of the process too. We always tell authors the best time to start marketing your book is the moment you decide to write it. And I didn't say the best time to start selling the book is the moment you start writing. Nobody will ever, get past that. That's a challenge. But planting seeds, showing value, showing up, and just encouraging. And I love how you involve people to write your book. The interviews, very, very powerful because they become champions for the book as well.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing conversation that will never end. So write the right book because you're going to be talking about it forever, but it's supposed to be fun and engaging. So you're doing really well.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, thank you for spending 30 or 40 minutes with me this afternoon. I can't wait to see how many lives you're going to change just from this conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This was great.
Excellent.
I'm so glad it worked out. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say available wherever books are sold and your favorite bookstore. So when the time comes, we're ready for you.
All right. That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. So yeah. And it's all the advice that you guys give is great. And it's, you can't say it often enough of there are 3,000 things you could do for marketing, which my team and I have changed that word to messaging because marketing and I have one of these relationships in my head.
I can feel it.
There are 3,000 things you could do for messaging. Do what works for you.
Yeah.
That sets me free.
Yeah.
It really does. So.
Oh, good. In fact, one of my books, I share like 115 ways that you can market the book, but you just got to do something. You don't be overwhelmed in the process. In fact, I say there are 115 ways you can do it, but if you could just do 3 to 5, a week, maybe it could be dangerous.
That's good. I love it.
But options are good. Well, best of luck with the book. I know it's going to change lives, and I am your champion here on the publishing side. We're excited about marketing it to the public alongside of you. But
thank you. Thank you, David.
Oh, it's my privilege.